2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to LARP Stories from Underworld, Sturminzel. I always almost say Stormlands every single time. Underworld Sturminzel this past weekend. For those of you who don't know who our lovely people are here in the background, this is Tammy. She plays Ray, and this is Siobhan. She plays Iman, and is my partner. And Tammy's just a really good friend. I should have introduced Siobhan first, so I could then give Tammy an extra honorific. Tammy is also one of the owners of Xenostrand. So there, like, I've done 2 things for both. There we go. We're good. And we just thought we'd do the stories together today at a weird Sunday evening time, instead of me sitting here alone doing them by myself on Monday morning, and Siobhan being like, "But you forgot to tell this part, and it was really cool, and you didn't tell it. I don't know." So you can do it, okay?
Yeah, it's on my shoulders now.
So, I mean, if I forget anything, it's your fault. The famous Tammy. Yes, you're right, chat. Very famous. I've talked about her a lot. It's true. Okay. So, I think the first thing to note is that the drive up to the game. This is always the first part of the stories. It's how we get there and what the conditions are like.
Well, we had planned to all caravan together in different vehicles.
Yeah, we did, because Tammy and Siobhan are roommates, and they live elsewhere. And Mike and I and Nigel, who's another player, we're going together in Mike's car. And so we had half the tent in one car and half the tent in the other, because the canvas was with Siobhan and Tammy, but the planks and the wood and the beams and stuff were with Mike and I. So we're like, if we get there together, then it'll be fine. You know, like, we'll just set it up. But of course that didn't happen, because these nerds were, like, delayed by some cat or something. I don't...
leave the house.
Well,
and just put it outside.
Just do one of these.
It kept hiding under furniture.
Okay, all right.
And she was so skinny.
I'm not saying it's not a justified delay, but I am saying that it irritated me and is therefore justified that I complain about it. Okay? So they got delayed by some cat that got into their house or something. I don't fucking know how it even got there in the first place.
We were loading.
Oh,
we were packing.
The door open and it went in the house and hid under stuff.
Okay. But so they were delayed, so we just decided to go, right? And meet them there, because it's fine, no worries. So we drove 3.5 hours out into the mountains, because, like, we're in Alberta, so the Rockies are kind of like on the border, you know? So we went out into the mountains where this campsite was, and you got no phone service out there. I mean, zero. I mean, nothing. I mean, 0 bars, no internet, no phone, nothing. Like, you can't use anything out there.
For the last hour of the drive.
Yeah,
it was, like,
for,
dark.
like, the last hour of the drive, exactly. So we knew where we were going, and we had the GPS coordinates and everything, and whatever, like, it was good. Except that it wasn't good, because the GPS coordinates are fucking wrong. They're in the middle of, because it's, like, this one campsite. What is it, like a red deer
water?
Campsite or something, a river campsite or some shit. But this campsite is vast, right? It's not like, oh yeah, the campsite, that one site. It's the campsite, that fucking massive 17 different turn-ins, lots of loop-arounds campsite that, like...
So we were in, like, the 3rd turn-in, but the GPS
had us
set
in, like,
for,
the
like, the 17th
yeah.
or something.
So, when Mike and I got there, we didn't know where anything was. So we went to the GPS coordinates, turned in, and went through the loop, and there's no LARPers there. And that's the part of the thing where I'm like, well, fuck. You know, like, what do I do, you know? And then another car pulled up, and it was Wyatt and Brody and Brett.
Also lost.
We were also lost and had no idea where to go. So we stuck together and we were like, okay, well, we're gonna find it because it's here. Like, I remember the name of the place. It's here somewhere. Like, and Brody and I ran into a locked gate, and we're like, there was a combination thing for the gate. I wonder if they closed it and they want to open it. But we didn't see any lights in the distance, so me and Brody were like, all right, we'll just walk down the path a little way and come back. You guys stay with the cars. And so me and Brody went to walk down this path. And we walked past this campsite that was like a camper and all this stuff, and we were just like walking past in the dark, and this flashlight goes whoosh, like up towards us. We're like, who? You know, like, hi. They're like, hello. Or, can we help you? You know? And I'm like, we're looking for LARPers. I'm wearing like my Aaron robe and stuff. And they're like, what? I'm like, did a lot of people come through here? Because we're looking for like a campsite with a bunch of people on it, and we don't know where we're going. So the person's like, oh, okay, yeah. They're not gonna be in here because this is like all individual campsites and stuff. You know, this is all like small scale campsites. But there's 2 like party sites. One of them is at one end of this vast place, and the other is at the other end of this vast place. Basically, is what I got told, right? And you should try those. I'm like, great, I will. Thanks. Bye. Walk away. Back to the cars, and we're like, okay, so we gotta go that way or that way, right? And so we went the wrong way for like a half an hour, and then turned back around and went back the other way. And then we were about to go all the way back up to the street where we could get some service and like figure out what was going on. But like, we didn't really want to do that, but it was like our last option here. So as we're driving back towards the bridge or whatever, there's like a landmark, like a bridge or something, driving back towards the bridge, and I see the back of a canvas tent lit with like a light inside it. And I'm like, there's no way that's not us. You know, like, that's Wayne's tent. It has to be, you know? And so we slam the brakes on and like honk to try and stop the others ahead of us, but they keep going for some reason. And so we stop and we turn in, and yes, we found the LARP campsite. Great. It took us like an hour of dicking around to find. Gave these 2 a chance to catch up though, which I guess is nice. And what I did after that was I stood on the road because I didn't want anybody else to have this like horrible experience of like, well, missed the turn in, I guess you're fucked, you know, like, I don't know where to go kind of stuff. So I went and I stood out on the road and just like surveyed every car that came by. Like, who else is driving these roads at 11 p.m. or whatever, right? Like, it's gotta be one of ours. And I saved like maybe 3 or 4 cars from just like all the way up the road. These 2 included, yeah.
It was good that we were delayed because that meant that Violet was there to just like be like, hey, don't drive past this site.
Yeah, we like
It's
tied
weird.
a tiki torch to the sign, hoping that would also do something. But I feel like real flame dissuades LARPers. If we'd had fake flame, that would have worked. But like the problem with real flame is that you immediately go, not LARP safe, pass. Like, can't be us.
No.
You know, like, but that's neither here nor there, really. How was your trip up, the 2 of you?
First, I'm going to show you the picture of our delay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very, very important. So I think, I don't know. It's very clear. Like, when you have a really skinny... Oh, no, that's...
That's
Oh,
the green
it's
screen
green
now.
screen.
Hang on, I can fix it. Oh, not that one. That one.
Okay, when you have, like, this looking up at you on, like, your carpet, and she's really skinny, and she looks like she might be pregnant, you kind of, like, put everything on hold and, like, try and find cat food.
This was after the half hour of like trying to get her to leave the house and pulling her out from under furniture, and then she just like laid on her carpet and purred at us until we fed her. And then we went.
I'm not gonna state my opinions on this because I feel like I'm outnumbered in terms of like, there is a cat that doesn't belong to me and that is delaying me from the task at hand. Get the fuck out of my house. That's what I'm stray cat. No, thank you. Yeah, goodbye. And it was owned by somebody else, right? Like that was It's not even like a stray cat. It's like a cat that somebody else
Cat
owns.
that refused to leave her house.
It's a cat, but also... She's ridiculously skinny. She's not fixed. She ate enough for like 3 days worth of cat food. And when we brought her out to she's violating a whole bunch of rules of our apartment building. Like, so the person who's keeping this cat is not taking care of this cat. And when I walked down to like kind of like follow the cat because the cat was moving, because originally I thought maybe she's pregnant. Oh no, if we keep her in our house for the weekend and ask Brad to check on her, which was our plan, then if she had kittens, they might still be out there, and that would be awful. So I followed the cat, and the cat led me to a bowl with a rock in it, and just sat down there like it owned the place, and I was like, ah. So then I asked the neighbors in the building, and they said, like, yeah, I recognize that cat. So then we got in a car and got to LARP.
I don't know why everybody in the world has this attachment to fuzzy animals that, like, have no relation to them but me. I just don't have this feeling. People are like, oh, it's a cute cat or dog or whatever the fuck. I'm like, so? It's not mine. Anyway, I'm making myself look like a horrible person, but I'm willing to do that on my own stream. It's fine. I'm like, you all know how I feel. The last cat I had an interaction with was a cat that meowed for the whole week and ruined every stream during that point in time. Like, fuck cats, okay? Like, ones that don't belong to me in my house. No. Get out. I got too much stuff. Anyway. They were delayed by a cat, but they got there eventually. And then we set up the tent and all that business and what have you. And the orientation for the game was then after, you know, like we ran into a couple of people who we hadn't seen in a long time. There's a couple of characters of this game where I was like, oh shit, this character's here, what? Like, Queen Brynja from the old Calidor games some time ago. Those of you who have been listening to my Aaron stories for like years might know of her, but otherwise not so much. But she was there. It was like the first game I've seen her at in like forever, so it was cool. She doesn't like witchcraft though, so that was a little awkward. Considering the last time I used witchcraft near anyone who might talk to her, I saved their asses, and then they told her anyway. Stupid Barrett. Telling Brynja stuff that Brynja has no right to know. Also, last time I stayed in Brynja's camp at Warcry, I also knew witchcraft. So when she was like, how long? And I'm like, 2 years. And she's like, so last time you stayed with me, you were a witch? And I'm like, yes! Anyway, I'm getting off track. So there was the orientation for the game, and we learned that we were in a, like a, not a staging area, but like a camp that was supposed to be helping the locals take back a city called Bastion from the, like, invading Brafontian army. I think that was it. Yeah. The Brafontians are like the Roman army, except also evil. Like, so the Roman army, you know, with necromancy, right? So that's the Brafontians, basically, like regimented, highly professional soldiers with any magic that makes them better, except for witchcraft, because witchcraft is outlawed in Brafont. It's like the only thing at all. Idiots.
Everything else is legal.
Yep.
You can be a vampire in Brafont.
Yep.
Fine.
You can be a vampire. You can be whatever. Witches.
Can't have
no good. But so we had to take back this town, right? And that was kind of the like main plot of the event. Like, we're taking back Bastion, and we're not taking back Bastion, but we're helping the Bastionites, like the locals, and the Wilders who are helping them take back Bastion by distracting like the camps and creating like flanking positions for the army and stuff like that. We were doing like small scale warfare stuff, you know?
Like, kind of if this was like a Warhammer board, we'd be like the mercenary group on the side of the main fight.
We'd be the kill team to the regular
Yeah.
Warhammer army. Yeah. Exactly. So like we didn't see the army, they were off screen, but we did the like small scale stuff. So a lot of the main plot was about that. I got some interesting, like, hey, come over here, let me tell you something shit this game. The dungeon is super crowded. Yes, it is. I have many people here. But so, I got some interesting stuff. So, at the end of orientation, Jacob, who's the lead shaper, and who you know from, like, you know, as Daegrin from other stuff and whatever. You've heard of Jacob before. He's a nice guy. Jacob was like, hey, I need to talk to you real quick, please. And so we went off into a secret corner with Tammy, because Tammy's the shaper from my home guild, so she has to approve stuff, you know. And And Jacob's like, okay, so here's the deal. You feel as if when you are in this land, and he's like, I got everything approved with Tammy. Like, he says this beforehand, like, so that he can say things with authority. And then he goes, when you are in this land, you feel as if your demon contract has been rewritten. And that now you serve Krava, the demon underneath this island, who is... You're used to a sleeping madness. You're used to, like, Nalstramus the Dreamer. Well, this is Krava, and he's madness awake. You know, like, crazy demon. So you serve him while you are here. Your power, your witchcraft is drawn from this demon on this island, right? And he goes, and to come with that, you feel as if everything that annoys you 10 times as much. You feel angry, you feel unbalanced, and just very off here. Things are not right, and you know they are not right, and it is affecting you. It was basically the prompt I was given. And I'm like, so what you want is unhinged Aaron. And he's like, yeah, pretty much. It's not a mandatory prompt, but yeah. You know, like that's what I want. I'm not saying it affects your brain directly, but what I am saying is this is how you should feel. Is what he said. I'm like, all right, cool, got you. So this wasn't like I'm taking control of your character and making you act a certain way or whatever. It was just like, keep in mind that this may be how you want to direct your roleplay for this game. You know what I mean? Like how you might feel about this or whatever. Like how the demon is influencing you. I've got very little butt space here. A little bit. Okay. And so that was kind of my initial sort of prompt stuff during orientation before the game started. Either of you have anything specific, like, before game?
I mean, I spent the entire time before game talking to Jacob, approving this, like, long laundry list of stuff, so I can't tell you about any of that.
That's fair. I guess you can talk about my stuff, but I just did, so it's fine. So Tammy is the, like, one of the owners in Zenith Strand, so the people who are visiting are sort of under their banner, so to speak. And so if you're doing stuff to their characters, it's polite to, like, ask the other shapers, ask the other guild masters.
Me and Jacob, we really like that stuff. We'll call each other at 5 in the morning and be like, I had this great idea. And then we'll talk about it for an hour and then both go to work being all giddy about these horrible things we're going to do to our players.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to cross-guild plot, I think Sturminzel and Zenith Strand definitely have a lot of, like, stuff that they do together, which is nice. It's a good stuff that you want.
My pregame was putting up stuff and decorating.
Yeah, setting up the tent is always like an hour-long ordeal, certainly. With the whole, like, okay, unpack everything from the totes, you know, hang stuff up on the curtains and set up the canvas and make sure we have somebody to hold the poles and hammer in all the you know, the pegs around the edges and all that stuff. It's just like very
so cool when it was done though.
But yeah, it's worth it every time, but it's definitely what do you call it? A process. Certainly.
We had a lot of claw.
Yeah, lots of drapey things and like I should have taken some pictures of the inside of the tent. I always forget to do stuff like that.
Next time.
But that's okay. So we were out of game for a little bit longer than most people because the game started and we still had to set up and stuff, and so people were like milling about while we were still setting up. And then we got everything set up, and what was the first thing that we did? Happened?
What's his name? The Gen Vest.
Oh yeah, because we were talking. So we were talking about our like coming into game with Jacob and we were talking about what do you call it? What do you call it? We were talking about like the local Gen Vespin NPCs because there are like some of our Wild Elf tribe NPCs like in the area, right? So we're talking about like where they are, like how they're like around or what's going on, that kind of thing. And in the end, in the end, Jacob was like, well, if you want to talk to the NPC that I have, like, I can just come into game with you. When you come into game, come and get me, and I'll come into game with you as if we'd just come from the Jen Vespin camp. You know? And we're like, okay, sure. Because we really wanted to show him the inside of the tent, which is very, you know.
Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah.
it's very nice. And we wanted to show off a little bit to our friend, so.
And also, like, quiet conversations in the dark in a tent.
It's how you want to spend the Friday night,
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
I mean, I think I had the best curtain.
Yeah, the bloody sheet that we'd made.
So it was, like, clotted together.
So gross.
So we'd made a new bloody sheet. Like, we took a white sheet, Tammy and I, one of the nights I was over at Siobhan's place, and Tammy's place, we took a white sheet, draped it out on the lawn, and then took a bunch of red paint and just smeared our hands in it and, like, dragged handprints across it and, like, put all these horrible, like, spills of blood on it. It's just this, like, red paint that looked really gross and, like, horrible. And that was the drape across the tent for, like, Ray's side of the tent, which is perfect. It's the perfect identifier of our violence, you know, like a bloody, horrible, like, murder sheet, you know. And yes, Tammy and Siobhan are roommates. It is indeed a powerhouse. Yes, yes. But so we brought Jakar into our tent, and we were talking with Jakar about, like, what's been happening with the local Jen Vespin, and I was asking about Hamara, who is Aaron's mother, who's the, like, elder shaman of the local Jen Vespin now, since Logarin sank and the Jen Vespin embraced all things evil. Which, you know,
because we weren't evil before.
I'm kind of... No. We weren't, though, right? Like,
we were just awful.
Yeah, we were just violent and horrible, but we weren't witchcraft, necromancy, embracing, slave-taking...
No, that was just you.
Yeah, that was just me. Yeah.
But now they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing it on Aaron's terms.
No, they're not doing it on my terms. They're doing it on...
So it's bad. Can't do that.
So basically, like, Aaron's mom is in charge of this local group to a certain degree. I mean, there's a chief, but Aaron's mom is the elder shaman, so all the advice comes from her, right? And Ray's brother is one of Hamara's apprentices, right? So there's a lot of, like, personal roleplay tied up in, like, what's happening with my mother, what's happening with Ray's brother, like, this kind of stuff, right? And there was some kind of plot thing going on with Ray and Jakar. But I didn't know, I had no idea at this time what it was. There was just, like, something happening while we were having this conversation, you know? And Ray was being, like, quiet, as she usually does when she's, like, not capable of, you know, speaking or what have you. Like, there's a lot of quiet moments with Ray Jerlyn. She's a thinker. That's what I like to call it.
Words are important.
Words are important, yes. And that's why I say many of them. Because I'm important. So we did a lot of chatting with Jakar, and there was something off about him, right?
Yeah, there were weird moments where he wasn't acting like the Jakar we had met. Because
we'd met him, like, 2 months beforehand.
Yeah. He was also, like, very aggressive towards Iman in ways that he wasn't before.
Yeah.
And Iman's not a Jen Vespin. She's a Woodfen.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of, like, okay, you're treating outsiders or people who are close very differently. This is strange. Like, he asked if Iman was a slave, and I'm like, he didn't ask that when he first met her.
Last time, yeah.
Like, that's bizarre.
So basically, Jakar was acting a little out of character.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was making Ray really mad.
It was, yeah. Yeah, there was a little bit of, like, are we gonna fight? Do we have to fight? I really don't want to fight. I really don't want to kill.
I don't want to fight.
Well, it was midnight. More. Look, it wasn't. I was tired. I don't want to fight because I'll happily fight at any time of the day. But what it was I really don't want to kill this Jen Vespin NPC and then have to deal with, like, warriors tomorrow or something. Like.
Yeah. See, I just didn't want to fight because I was tired.
That's fair. I mean, you're allowed to have.
Legitimate.
You're allowed to have your own motivations on that, certainly. But so we let Jakar go after some conversation. I don't remember us learning anything particularly interesting other than, like, bad things are still happening in the Gen Vespin camps. And that, like, some people are opposed to it, but those people are few and far between, and when they say anything, they get crushed, you know?
I think there was also the notice that, like, Hamara is not necessarily with the Battlefront.
Yeah,
She's
like,
off.
Hamara is somewhere else, as well, is, like, one of the things. So, like, they're fighting a war with the Kraken tribe in the north, basically, like, and the Kraken tribe are, like, or the Kraken band, sorry, the Kraken
like,
the Kraken war band.
and
They're, like,
goblins and
orcs and goblins and stuff. And the Gen Vespin have been fighting them for, like, land, basically. And avoiding us because the town pays them tribute, basically, to stay away. Which I love, by the way, because I didn't pay them any tribute, because I'm a Gen Vespin.
No.
You're supposed to pay the tribute to me!
People paid me tribute this game. It was good.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So, I just ended up giving Victor a lot of coins. That was most of my game. But, but anyway, so they're fighting a war in the north, apparently, and Hamara is not on that battle line anywhere. You know, she's not using her magic on the front lines for them or anything like that. It's very, like, she's back doing mystical magical stuff that's, like, dangerous for everybody, you know? So we learned that. And then Jakar went off. Was there anything else Friday night? I'm trying to rack my brain to remember if we did anything or just went to bed after that. So there was Jakar, and then did we walk around at all or, like, meet anyone? Or
I did a bit of walking around. Like, I ran into Brynja. Brynja was there and some other people.
I only saw her in the morning,
yeah.
So we must have gone to bed after that, definitely. Because you walked around, but I went to sleep, I think.
Yeah.
Or, like, you went to the privy or something, and then yeah. But I think we went to sleep pretty much after that. And, like, Lucian showed up. And
you guys went to bed. I went for a walk, and then I went to bed. So.
Nothing interesting on the walk?
Not a lot. It
No.
was, like, a couple things attacked, like some plants and some...
Oh, just some
crunchies.
Nothing,
like, major.
Okay. So we went to bed, and like, our Friday night... It must have been, like, 3 o'clock when we went to bed.
It was
For sure
late.
It was late.
It was
For
really
sure it was late.
like...
And cold.
I had to sleep with my blanket over my head because I think the sun was already coming up.
See, my trick for that is the witch hat is a perfect, like sun blocker. So if you just, like, lie on your side and put the witch hat over, no sun. No sun at all.
I don't have a witch hat.
Yeah, well, maybe you should get one. You got robes.
Gotta get witchcraft first.
Fair enough. All right, we'll work on that.
But magic first, hat later.
Magic first. Yeah, the hat can only be worn by witches. That's the rule, of course. So I can give it to no one. I'm the only one. Yay me. We have a lot of nature casters now, though. Because at this game, we had a bunch of Gen Vespin. I should mention this. So Brody's character was there. You may remember his character, Skull, from the Xenosaurus stories last month, which I might have forgotten to upload to YouTube. So I may also upload those. But so the Skull was there. Helene stayed behind because he wanted to play a different character for this game, which is perfectly fine, obviously. There's Ray and me, and another Gen Vespin named Archerin, or Archerin? Archerin. Yeah, Archerin, who is like a new that game Gen Vespin, which is awesome. I love new characters being involved in stuff that I do. It makes me very happy. And he was another like little baby nature caster, which we got a lot of those. I'm very happy with as many. We have so many snares. So many snares, so much crowd control.
Yeah, and then like my character also, due to the way like experience points and level caps work, I've decided that like the way that she works in this section, she casts nature as well.
Yeah, because Iman is a very high level character, right? So she actually has access to 3 spheres of magic. It's just that in certain guilds, your level gets like adjusted so that you're online with like the rest of the LARP crew there. You know, so you can't just be from another guild and roll in with your, like, super-powered godlike magic and be like, all of you have regular swords and swing for 2 damage? Ha ha ha! Death, 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 death.
This is my guild now!
Yeah. So you can't do that, right?
I mean, you shouldn't if you're, like, a decent person
You
anyway.
you shouldn't, but I guarantee some people would, okay? You shouldn't, but that doesn't. If there's no hardline rule for it, I guarantee some people would throw their weight around. I mean, I throw my weight around, and I'm not even stronger than them.
I mean, we've been throwing our weight around since we were like 3rd level. You just act really tough, and people believe it.
Yeah, if you pretend you're really strong, people believe it.
Like, when I came in at 3rd level, people were already afraid of me, and I was like, I've got like 8 bodies.
You could hit me 3 times and I'd be dead. Yeah.
But I'm just gonna stand here and posture.
If I pretend I'm very strong.
Oh, they're backing up. It's working.
Yes. Good. Yeah. So the other people who are camping with us, I have to mention them because they were an integral part to most of our camp, were the Furbolg, or the Amrath, I guess they're called now.
Yeah.
But I mostly just call them the Furbolg anyway. Because it's a better name. It is.
That's what you're used to.
Yeah, that too. So the Furbolg, who are like cavemen, basically. Like, think primitive human, and you got Furbolg, like, right on the nose. They're talk like this and make good trades or big stabs, you know, that kind of stuff. So Hippie Kicker, my roommate Mike, his character is a Furbolg named Umaga, and he is the master of big stabs. He has many big stabs, and he willingly and liberally delivers them.
It was really great. Like, every time we came to the tent, we had 4 of these Amrath, like, sitting outside of it. It made the whole area feel very hostile. Is good.
Yeah, so there's like another 3 of them. So there's Umaga, there's Tog, who's like a mercenary Furbolg. There's Vako, who's like Nigel's like caster Furbolg, and
I don't remember her name.
Ira, who was like a sort of mystic Furbolg. And they camped around where we camped. And so when we were congregated around our tent and stuff, they'd bring their chairs over, and, you know, like, the social area would become around our tent. But then it just became around our tent the whole time. So we would walk away, but there'd be like 4 snoozing cavemen or whatever, like, outside of our tent the whole game. So, like, nobody was gonna fuck with that. You know what I mean? Like, the exact people who will enact violence the quickest of any of the people.
I think that's the first time in like a decade of LARPing that I've ever not been worried about in-game theft when I left stuff in my tent. Like,
yeah.
not worried at all.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
we all know, like, and one of the Furbog, Nigel's Furbogs, what's his name? Vako has a reputation for delivering bees upon wake up. So nobody even wants to like risk waking him up.
Yeah, so Vako snores really loud and sleeps like very lightly. So if you touch him, he'll wake up. But when he does, he throws magic at you because you're touching him. You know what I mean? Like, delivering bees. Yeah, there's a spell called Swarm, which is like, I invoke nature to inflict swarm, and it creates a swarm of bees or like whatever stinging insect like around you, right? And you have to swat them away or take damage, basically. So his favorite thing to do is when someone's pissing him off, you just be like, shut up now or bees.
Yeah, and if you really piss him off, he does bees and spider nap, which is a combination of the swarm spell
and the web spell,
so that you can't swat them away because you can't move. So you just sit there
and
while
slowly
this
get eaten by insects.
Slowly kills you.
Yeah. It's brutal.
It's great.
And this in the hands of cavemen, basically, is what we're saying. Like, very dangerous if you don't know how to talk to them. That's the important thing. So anyway, Saturday morning, we had some breakfast. All of us were eating, thanks to the lovely Rourke, otherwise known as Wayne, who we paid some money to for, like, a meal plan this game. Because his character's a chef. Like, he has chef profession stuff. So he wants to cook, like, in-game and do cooking stuff. But he wanted to also, like, have people to eat it, you know what I mean, and stuff. So we paid some money to him to get really good food. What do we have in the first morning?
Wraps.
Yeah, the breakfast wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, like, I think it was, like, egg and, like, some potato and stuff in there. And it was really good. Really delicious.
And warm.
Like, wraps. The kind of stuff you would never get at LARP if you weren't, like, specifically buying into it, you know? So we got to eat a delicious breakfast in the morning. I have to mention all the meals because Wayne said that he'd be listening for a specific food review. So, real good wraps. Then I think then I ran into Brynja. I think was the next thing, which is a little awkward. So we were down by like the river overhang because we were right near a river. So we're down by this like river overhang that like overlooks the river, and I walked up while Iman was talking to Brynja, and you walked away for some reason. Privy, I think.
No, it was in-game reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
You walked away for in-game reasons.
Yeah, well, it's because, like, Iman really wanted to talk to Brynja first, but then it's like the conversation's already happening. I can't interrupt it, and I can't be here.
I thought I didn't start talking about it until you weren't there.
That's where the conversation was going. Like, there's no...
It was getting there.
It was getting there. Like, there was a look in Brynja's eyes.
Yeah, there's a look in Brynja's eyes that was like, we need words right now.
Yeah, and Iman's like, it's better if I'm not here.
Yeah, so Iman walked away, and then I ended up with Brynja and a hovering Ray nearby.
I hovered.
Ray was hovering. I could tell she was like itching for the whole like, if this goes badly, I'm going to stab this person vibe, which is my favorite Ragerlin vibe, to be honest. Like, when I'm talking and you're glowering, God, I love it.
I can feel the glower like coming out of Tammy right now too, and I'm like edging away a little.
I love it.
I can't hold the expression unless I'm actually like,
like
in the costume
in the
because
zone,
otherw's I just laugh. It's great.
Well, it's like me with the Aaron thing. Like, I just can't do Aaron stuff when I'm not Aaron. So we had a conversation, and Brynja is like a demon slaying, virtuous, like Einhar battle maiden kind of person. Very old school by comparison with a lot of what's happening right now, which is like very dark leaning. You know what I mean? So we had a conversation that basically started like, she came up, or she moved towards me a little, and she went, Barrett told me everything. I'm like, oh? Barrett told you everything? What did he tell you? You know, like, that you're a witch. I'm like, did he also tell you that I saved his life with that magic? Did he also tell you that he embraced me like a member of his family? You know, like, these kinds of things. I was, like, throwing them back at her, like, he didn't tell you everything if he didn't tell you those things, you know? And she's like, you know, he told me. It's the only reason I'm not doing something about it right now, basically. And I stepped towards her like, Brynja, I would never mean you any harm, basically. You know, like, I took a step towards her, and she's like, that's close enough. And I'm like, oh, I remember supporting you and having your back through some very difficult times for you. Being there to, you know, like, be a person who is on your side, you know? I remember specifically stepping up and showing you, a non-elf, my support during your queen reign, whatever it is, you know? Like, you're human bullshit, basically. Like, and like, Aaron's just hurt, right? Like, a little bit. Like, this person that I respect, you know, to a certain degree, has decided that I'm their enemy now. And she's like, yes, like, I know all that stuff, but I can't trust you anymore. I don't trust you. Like, how long have you been a witch? I'm like, 2 years, maybe a little bit more. She's like, so last time we saw each other, you were also a witch? And I'm like, yes. Then I can't trust you, you know? Like, you lied to me, to my face. I'm like, whether you trust me or not, I'm not planning to hurt you. And if you plan to do something about me being here, then tell me now, and we can have it done here, rather than waiting until later, because I'd rather just get it over with, you know? Like, if we have to fight, let's fight now, basically. And she's like, no, I'm not gonna do anything.
I
You know?
mean, it might have been the position I kind of moved my
You were
spear
you
into
were
at
definitely
that point.
you
I
were
was
definitely
in kill mode.
you were definitely close. Yeah, and she didn't have any weapons with her. She just
No.
like she's like there on her own. And I was like, I'll let you go get them, you know, like you can come back and I'll wait here.
I wasn't gonna let her get them.
Yeah, but when I say I'll let you go get them, you've got to understand that I'm a witch. I will let you go get them. I'm not talking about anyone else. Just me. Contracts, words. It's very important. All right.
I won't. I never do what I'm told.
No, you don't.
No.
Fucking ever. God. I just wish I wasn't witch mom. God. It's really annoying sometimes. I've got so many little Jen Bestman to curate right now. God, I never thought I would be the matron figure of fucking anything ever in my whole life. There was never a point in my life where I went, yeah, I'll be the group mom. Ever. And yet, here we fucking are.
That's alright, there's Wolf Mom too.
Yeah, without the support of Wolf Mom, I would be lost. But anyway, had this conversation with Brynja, and Brynja, eventually came to sort of a standstill, and she's like, well, I'm not in the mood for small talk, so she left, you know? And I turned to Ray, I think, and I went, better than I thought. Like, her finding out about my witchcraft, I thought for sure would be a fight. I thought for sure it would be a fight. But I think saving Barrett's ass probably helped me. Because those two are like a couple. So.
I like to think it was your glowering shadow that deterred her.
Oh, I mean...
Although she could
of
probably
course.
take me one-on-one. She's pretty damn tough.
But she was weaker here. Siobhan, could you just hop up a sec? I gotta move this wire. It's gonna bug me the whole thing if I don't. There we go.
Yeah, I guess we were on par at that point.
You might have more room if I sit like this.
Oh, well, let's make sure that you're on screen. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So yeah, we left that conversation a little bit of a standstill, and I'm sad. And Brynja said after game, like Catherine, the player for Brynja, said after game, I was really hoping we would interact more. I like wanted to force more of that interaction, but we just like never talked again, basically.
Well, the other thing also is like, so my mom had a conversation with Brynja afterwards.
Which I also glowered for. It's like all I do.
And that conversation was like,
I was not
talk
present
about,
for this one.
Yeah, let's talk about like the what and the why and the wherefore, and it was difficult because Iman was like, I really wish that I could have like drawn on more things earlier, but right now she's in the state where she's like, I want to stab things, and I'm like, yes, Brynja, I understand. I want to, I know, I want to stab things too, and yeah, getting the witch bombshell dropped on someone when they don't know it is kind of difficult. Kind of difficult. I suppose you get to see it all the time.
See, the great thing about me dropping the witch bombshell is I go, what of it? Afterward. I'm not like, oh no, my emotional connections. I'm just like, yeah, I'm a witch. So what? You gonna fucking do something about it? No? Okay, fuck off. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. It was good though. That conversation carried on later. I don't think Ray was part of this conversation, but Brynja ended up saying to Iman the exact same thing that Barrett said to Iman at the end.
Oh, really?
Of like they're like heart to heart behind closed doors.
What was that?
That was like, well, for as long as this lasts, I'm like, enjoy it while it lasts. I'm happy for you. And I'm just like, little tear came out of Iman's eye. I know. And now Iman's like, all right, I need to give Brynja some space. Then I'm gonna come back because right now I want to give her the space so that she processes this all on her own. And then I'm going to come back and see if she still wants to interact with me.
Also, chat, you are totally correct. Glowering effectively is an incredibly powerful skill. Intimidation at LARP, the physical presence of someone being physically intimidating at LARP makes you feel things. You know, like, whether you want to or not, your little lizard brain. Like,
Yeah.
gonna wheel this slightly over because you're like half off the screen. It's bugging me a lot.
All right.
There.
I like how you're wiggling me over.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Okay, so there was that in the morning, and then Kel, who's like this plate-wearing, jovial high elf, who everybody like. His nickname is Handsome Elf. Like he's a handsome.
No, I think
elf.
it's handsomest elf.
Yeah,
Handsomest
it's
elf.
handsomest elf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's a very handsome elf. It's true. Who Kel came over and was like, "Okay, we're gonna raid some camps. You know, like we're gonna get those Brafontians out of those camps, and we're gonna go kick some ass."
Which
basically
totally got me out of bed. It's like
yeah, sleepy
coffee and murder. It's the perfect morning for Ray.
Sleepy Ray, coffee and murder. That's what you need. So Kel was like, "We're gonna go clear some camps. We need you and Shaman. Are you gonna bring your people?" I'm like, murder in the morning sounds good. You know, like go find Ray. Ray, we're killing some Brafontians. Okay, like get out of bed. Like, yeah, it's good.
We forgot something the night before.
What did we forget?
We forgot the 2 Knights of the Eclipsed Sun.
Oh yeah, those Dorcases.
Yes.
Those absolute
So good.
fucking idiots.
We went for a walk, so I guess
we must have gone for a little
you
walk.
must have come for the first part of the walk and then gone to bed.
Yeah.
I think this was so we went for a walk and then we saw that it was like dead
Nobody
quiet.
was up, yeah.
Nobody was up except for these 2 people on the road.
Yep.
So these
two
two people ran into us on the road, and they're wearing white. This was Friday night. Sorry, flashback a little bit. But these 2 people in the dark wearing white tabards with the tower shields and swords and stuff, and they walk up and they're like actively glowing eyes. So there's like glowing yellow eyes, and they're like, "We're with the Church of the Eclipse, and we're here to mete out justice on this town," or whatever stuff.
Yeah,
right?
And you're here, so you're definitely guilty for proximity.
We're standing there, a group of like wild elves and wood fae, basically, and go like, we don't live here. You know, if you want to mete out justice, they're up there. You know?
Well, the other thing too is like, even if they were like legitimately, like the glowing eyes is a mark of divinity, of divine power, but this church that they represent has been like, we know that it's a sham.
Yeah, they've been like stealing divine power, basically.
Yeah, so it's not even the whole like there might be a misunderstanding here that could be interesting. It's like, no, there isn't.
They're just idiots and
Yeah.
violent. Yeah. So we're like, go and attack them, and they're like, no, we're gonna fight you. I'm like, so we have a problem? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay. You know, and then the fight starts. And the funniest thing about Tooth for Tooth, which is the spell that they're using with the glowing eyes and stuff, is like, well, you have glowing eyes, and I know what that means. So instead of hitting you with something you're going to reflect, because Tooth for Tooth reflects the first 3 things that hit you, I just go up and I go, 1 magic, 1 magic, 1 magic, and I take 3 damage, and then their level 8 spell is over, and then I kill them.
Yeah.
I think one of them I basically just took out in about 3 seconds. And the other one, everybody just fucking destroyed them.
The one you turned into a toad and then I bit its head off.
Yeah, there was that one, yeah. Was that the... Yeah, and the other one got chased down by everybody else, yeah. So these people died really simply.
Quickly.
And then
I was looking through their things, and it's like, oh, this one has some strange rocks. And on the rocks, there are little tags with these gorgeous little semi-precious stones.
I forgot to give that back.
You could send it back with us, like Bobby lives like 2 houses down.
Oh yeah, okay, that's what I'll do. Yeah.
We'll drop it off.
Yeah.
I forgot to give it back.
And on the tag, it says, one of them says something like black crystal, and the other one says siphon gem. And on both tags, it says value, C plot. Value, C plot. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. See ya, everyone. Go see plot. And I walk up to plot camp, and I just see the Shaper's eyes go like, why is it you who picked it up? Why is it you among anyone else? So then we go to sort it out, because these things only have specific effects on people who have a connection to divine and divinity. And then my character is one of the characters who
Weaver of
is
Sybil, yeah.
Sybil, the goddess of the hunt and the goddess of strength. And so when I touch these things, something bad happens. So they roll some dice, they look at the dice, and they're like, okay. And they're freaking out because like these things, like later on in the event, like I ended up interacting with them again, and these things could randomly just kill you, right? Like they're like, the shepherds are like, we didn't want this to happen like opening night, but if it's what happens, what happens.
Yeah.
Let's find out. So what this gem ended up like stealing one of her spells and holding into it, and then like everything clicked into place. So I came back into event and said like, this has stolen my spell. This is how they're getting they're taking the divine power through things like this.
So they're like stealing spells from weavers somewhere and then using them like they're their own, passing it off as their own magic, basically.
Which is horrifically sacrilegious.
Yeah, it's
like,
bad.
No.
There's a special incant for that.
Yeah, it uses a corrupt word.
I corrupt God to inflict.
That was the most fun part about this whole demon thing, by the way. My knife, the magical knife that I can't use because it might destroy my shard, which is like the elven soul, wasn't drawing power from corrupted Leandra or whatever anymore during this. It was drawing power from the demon. So I could just freely use it whenever I wanted, which is way more fun.
And there was an excellent use of it like on Sunday.
That's true. We'll get to that.
It was beautiful, yeah.
We'll get to that.
So I ended up figuring out how these stones could be destroyed, and then the spell kind of returned. So that ended up being like, oh, there's like, if like one of the light spells creates light, literally, and light is part of the divinity, so it's like bringing that close to it brought it back.
Yeah.
Which was great. So there's a problem, a horrific problem, and solution found right away. All right, we can do this. Going forward, we have a plan.
We can destroy all these gems. Yeah.
Yeah, we can start unraveling this mess. Yeah. Sunday night.
So that was that was a little
Friday
flashback
night.
to Friday night. Yeah. So back to Saturday. We're going to kill some Brafontians. So the way this worked is like we walked up the road and we got to the gate, and then it was like, okay, everybody, so you're at the gate, but now we're gonna pretend like you're still walking down this road, but we're gonna turn you around and walk you back the other way, like towards the NPCs we've set up over here. You know, was kind of the thing. So Kel and Corwena are leading this party using this map and like going to different camps or whatever, and those camps are signified by us walking down the trail a certain amount, or you know, that kind of shit. And we got into some brawls. LARP fighting is hard to describe, like, vocally, other than to say that it is generally quite fast and, like, active and exciting, you know? There's a lot of, like, combat stuff going on, and a lot of the Brafontian guys had, like, shields and were, like, reflecting magic and stuff and, like, being very, like, combat capable. So it was up to us quite a lot of the time to like bust through the woods and like catch them on the sides, or bust through the woods and get behind to the casters or stuff like that.
Good deal of like shield wall and skirmishing and
yeah, it felt really solid. Like it felt really good combat. I used tongue rot, which is a witchcraft spell that like makes you silenced. It rots your tongue in your mouth. I used it more times this game than I have ever used it ever, because they had casters who were actually effective. You know, like casters that were behind a shield wall that could stop spells, that could stop people, you know, and they were just throwing spells over. So it was my job to try and loop around through the woods on the side of the road, which is pretty thick, actually. Like, there's a lot of pushing through branches and stuff to do. And like, silence the casters so they can't really do anything anymore. So I use that a lot more times than I've ever used it before. Which is also true because I didn't have any psionics. In this place, I am a single sphere caster. I only cast witchcraft, because that's what the level cap does to me. I don't have enough experience to have 2 spheres of magic, so I could pick one.
You could.
But you wouldn't have any spells.
Yeah, I would have up to level 7s,
yeah.
Which for witchcraft is like, well, I have none of my kill spells. So.
Or your life spells.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, my imp would have one.
That's just one.
Yeah. I didn't even use any of this game.
I mean, you could have if you'd let me kill more people.
That's true. It's true. It's too restrained. You're right. Mm-hmm. You're right. I'll keep that in mind. Advisement going forward. Let Ray kill more people so I can get letters of their true name.
Right? Violence is the answer.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're definitely right. So anyway, these combats were super fun and challenging. We got really tired. I got really tired doing this stuff, like busting through the woods, dodging a bunch of stuff, like fighting in close quarters with the nasty sword wielding people, like dodging magic and just trying to make sure that I'm using everything tactically effectively and blah 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 blah, all that other stuff. And I was freaking exhausted. I don't know about the two of you, but I was like, okay, we've done like 4 of these camps and I'm dying. And I'm out of spells.
I don't think I ended up using many spells that time just because I was conserving them.
And I was trying to hide them, so I didn't use it.
Yeah.
Well, you were stabbing for like 12 magic or something ridiculous.
Oh yes, I definitely did use my
12
strength
silver.
spell.
12 silver, yeah.
It's Ray has. I'm not sure if you've ever noticed this, but Ray gives the best face when she gets the strength of the bear.
Oh, really?
There's just this little twitch in her face. That's just
it's
like
joy without any like facial expression joy. I don't know. I probably can't like replicate the expression, but it's smiling without moving any of your facial muscles.
I get it. I'm glad that it's inspiring. So that's good. Yeah, I mean, you just run around and stab shit like crazy.
Because violence is the answer.
The notable ones for that first encounter, like, waves, were the Necromancer, or, like, the Death Mage, or whatever it was, and the Golem. The first Golem that we ran into.
That was a good one.
That was really scary. So the Golems are, like, these big war Golems that are, like, the person playing them, Jacob usually, I think Jacob only, maybe, wears, like, these kangaroo shoes, so they're, like, 8 feet tall and, like, bouncy. So they move, like, really efficiently, right? And they have this just massive sword that they just smash you with, and even if you block it, it, like, hurts you because it's massive damage, and stuff like that. So that kind of thing is, like, yeah, it's, whew. Yeah, it's dangerous, right? And the Necromancer, or the Death Mage, I don't know if he was a Death Mage or a Necromancer with on life, but he was definitely undead.
That was the first time that we, like, skirmished around, so we, like, caught him completely off guard.
Yeah.
This is good.
He summoned a ritual sword.
Meteor.
No, the ritual sword, the
sword?
Vampiric Blade.
Oh.
So he was fighting and draining, like, 4 drain, which is, like, you're never going to kill him, because every time he hits you, he gets 4 health back. So I ran in, and I'm like, I summoned next to him, it's like, Repulsion Sword! And he's like, damn it! Goodbye, Ritual Sword! You can't use that anymore. You're scared of it.
Yeah.
There were definitely a couple of times where I was like, oh, that worked. I didn't think that was going to work.
Hell yeah, it works.
Well, like, where it's like, oh, they can be feared? Cool. Like, I guess sentient undead could be feared. There's nothing to say they couldn't be feared. Undead state makes you unaffected by mind-affecting things.
Well, I don't think the first Necromancer was in undead state. He had, like, the like, Dark Shroud? Or,
He had
like, some other similar
white,
thing.
like, the skull face, though. So I thought he was maybe undead, but I don't know.
No, the first one wasn't undead because they were trying to identify him, and he wasn't an undead.
You're right.
He was just a Necromancer.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But, like, the plants and stuff. When I did it to the plants, I was like, oh, it worked. Horror worked. The Eater, I horrored him.
Yeah,
so
'cause
he
he's
couldn't
sentient.
attack me.
Yeah. He's sentient.
Which was great because he was killing everyone. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We did the 2 camps, and then we came back, and it was like a well-deserved rest.
And I went swimming.
Holy, yeah. Why don't you tell us about that?
So there's actually a bunch of people, like, whitewater rafting down the, like, river. So a group of us decided, you know what would be good? We go stand on the riverbed. So we just went and, like, stood on the riverbed while these people, like, whitewater rafted by, like, cheering at us and stuff while we just sort of stood there. And then we like, kind of layered down and I went swimming while the other 2 kind of looked at me in horror as I actually submersed myself in the glacier water because I'm crazy. It was good.
Yeah, there's a river nearby. It was very, like, a powerful river, it seemed like.
Yeah,
You
it
could
was too
hear it
strong
the
to, like,
entire camp.
actually swim in, but I, like, was able to, like, go sit
I could, like,
in it
you
and
could,
then,
like,
like,
see the rapids
put my
in it
hair
and-
in it and
yeah.
stuff and cool down, so it was...
And then you were wet.
And then I was wet for the remainder of the day and first half of the night.
That's Rachel and short-sightedness if I have ever seen it. It's the same as, I'll murder this guy, and then not worry about what's going to happen after that.
No, it's fine, because you'll fix it for me.
Yeah, that's what I do. I fix your murders. It's true. Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I started a fire and dried off, so it was fine.
I'm trying to think of what happened next on Saturday. Was it plants? I think there was some plant attacks. Or dark elves.
Yeah, some
There
dark
was
elves.
something we
Imps!
thought-
We forgot about
Yeah,
the
we
imps.
thought they were dark elves, and then they were demons.
So we had some imps appear, and the weirdest part about these imps, they didn't attack me. I got right up in their face, and they just ignored me. Like I was not there at all. Which is weird. Demons don't usually do that. Just regular demons are like, oh, you're a witch? Dead. You know, like, they don't care. The imps did not attack me at all. I walked right past them, and they just like, were like, what up? Basically. So that was a little strange. And, you know, the imps fought with the town and were summarily destroyed. But the weirdest part was they didn't attack me.
Yeah, and that's when, so the previous night Erin was like, there's something wrong here, like my contract is slightly acting up, and now she comes, she tells him on this, and it's like, the imps, they're not here, they're not coming for me, and that's immediately the, oh no.
Well, because
Yeah.
you know what else imps don't fight? Greater demons, or other demons, or like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of thing where it's like, they attack people. Witches are people, but they're not attacking me.
When a demon is treating you like an ally, that's something's wrong.
It's probably bad.
That
Yeah.
means that you have too much attention.
Yeah, it means that they know you exist, you know, which is a thing. So that was a little weird, but it was cool information to have. It was like this cool little like, oh fuck, you know, like moment, which is nice. I like to have those. I forgot to mention that I blinded Skull. So Skull came to me and said, Shaman, I have a problem. I'm like, what's your problem, Skull? And Skull's like, well, I have this new magic staff, but I made a deal with Greed to get it. You know? And I'm like, oh, fuck. You know, like, I know I came from a deal, but what's wrong with it, you know? He's like, well, see, the demon can see through my eyes wherever I go while I am holding this. And I'm like, put it down then. He's like, I can't. Drops it. It's spirit linked. It comes back to his hand. Like, he can't put it down, basically. I'm like, well, all right. So it sees through your eyes? And he's like, yes, I've already solved it. And he like puts a blindfold on. And I'm like,
Not good
no,
enough.
that's not good enough. Like, take his blindfold off. Like, now you lose your eyes. Until you lose this staff. Until it is gone, no seeing for you. Make a bad deal, take bad consequences. You know, like, consider this, Skull, a learning experience. You know? And I, you know, I did the whole, like, gouging out, I won, like, shit, and I just gouged out his eyes and put the blindfold back on him.
And his blindfold was really cool because it was black shadow cloth, but it had like
Red in it,
splotches
yeah.
on it. So like from a little bit away, it looked kind of bloody.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. And did you notice he just draped it over his ears? He didn't actually tie it at all?
No.
It was just cloth that he draped around his ears like this and then just left it there. So it wasn't actually tied up.
I think it was like stuck to his glasses.
I think it
'cause,
might
like,
have
he
been.
actually needed to see for safety,
Yeah.
but like character-wise,
But so we were looking for ways to get rid of this thing like most of the game.
Yeah. Oh, and he like came up with this brilliant solution.
Yeah.
Like partway through in his like, he spent a lot of time sitting and pondering
Yeah.
as he was like going through, thinking on his.
Well,
things.
because we've given him a consequence for this bad deal, right? And he's like, well, I want to not have this bad deal, you know, like so that I can learn from this, rather than be stuck in this like situation where I can't see.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's also like choosing the path of like, okay, well, do I try and make this deal better, or do I try and just throw this to the wind?
Throw it to the wind, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was willing to be like, well, I have a magic stick, but a magic stick's not worth much if I can't see.
Yeah.
You know? So he was looking for a solution for that the whole time. And I think we've got one, but I think that'd be a story for like next time if it works, sort of thing. So that was the thing. Which, you know, is fine. And out of game, it was very exciting, and Brody was into it, and like all that stuff. I didn't ruin his game by blinding his character. Like he liked it. You know what I mean? Like he was into it. So that was pretty good. Brafontian stuff. Then Saturday afternoon or evening, what was going on?
Was it the braid stuff, or did we miss something before that?
Oh no, it was. Yeah, no, it was the
I
braid.
know braid stuff was before dinner.
If stuff comes up that we remember, we can call back to it.
So braid stuff.
Wait, lunch.
Lunch was good.
Lunch was good. What did we have for lunch?
Smokies.
Yeah, hot dogs. So that was good. That's some simple, easy, like great
They
food.
were really warm, and
really
they're
warm,
really
nice.
crunchy and tasty.
Thank you again, Wayne, for your food. It's very good. He fed like 15 people, guys. It's not just like us three. It's like our whole camp, you know.
Yeah. And it was great because we were in bear country, so we had to eat quickly and
and like
diligently.
clean up.
And like clean up immediately and like take everything to the trash and be like, okay, put everything away.
Yeah,
so
because we
there's
want
this
to draw in bears.
There's this flurry of activity. It's like someone was like, all right, it's food time. Then
Food time.
Went and gathered everybody else up, and we were all also in game camping together. So it was like it felt really immersive to be like, hey, Vaco, food.
Like
Vaco didn't bees me.
Vaco
didn't bees
Carefully
me.
wake up, Vaco.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. And then it was the braid stuff.
Yeah.
On Saturday afternoon. You want to tell that one?
Yeah, So, as part of Iman is like got a spirit wolf as part of her, and she's been going to like kind of awaken other people's. They're called animists, so she kind of sees it as like there's an animal in their shadow, and she'll wake it up, and then they'll be tied together, and they form a braid. Now Iman's been building this up over time, and there's been some conflict with Ray around this. Ray and Iman have an interesting history. They don't necessarily get along for a lot of very complicated and storied reasons, but a lot of it has to do with just them not talking about things.
They're just like very not talky at each other.
So I was at the fire, and Iman comes over and walks past Ray and went to
Lucian and me and Victor.
Yeah, so she goes to Victor and then to Aaron, walks past Ray, doesn't say anything to her, and goes to Lucian, and whispers something that I can't quite hear to each of them. And then the three of them get up, and they all walk away with her. And Ray's like, where's the rest of my swarm going? I guess I'm going too. Whatever, I don't like Iman. I get she doesn't talk to me. All right. So we all go back to the tent and sit down.
Yeah, and as Iman's doing this, so Iman's like, has added people to her braid, and she doesn't like want to hide this from Ray, but she doesn't talk to Ray, really.
They don't have a lot of opportunity to talk, really.
I mean, we've got
they do.
Opportunity.
They just don't. Yeah, you're right. Never mind. I take it back.
So Iman's like trying to make eye contact with Ray, being like, look, I am doing this. You witness the thing that I am doing. I'm not, like, she doesn't want to hide. Like, she's not hiding it.
But she just doesn't say anything.
Yeah. So she brings them back, and she wanted to, like, do this, so she was feeling an urge to take a nap and have a walk. Which
is
a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah. Doesn't explain it, just says, I need to take a nap and go for a walk.
Yeah, and it would mean a lot to me if you were here with me while I'm doing this. I'm not really sure why my wolf is kind of making me feel like hibernated mode, but also wanting to be surrounded by the people who are close to me. So they're just sitting and yeah.
So she starts doing like the role play stuff to like lay down and do what she's doing. And while we're sort of in that sort of semi-hold, like waiting for her to do her thing,
costuming stuff.
Everyone in the room starts telling each other what their own personal animus is. And they go around the room. And everyone in the room says their animus. And then the last one in the room to speak is Ray, and she looks around the room and goes, "Really? This is how I find out?" She just freaks out and, like, storms over to the next room. I crawled into my bed because I was still cold from the river, curled up in the blankets, and was just like, now I can sleep. But also,
I am righteously angry. I am going to sleep now. I love it so much.
So good.
Yeah, this is pretty great. But we were currently busy with, like, Iman doing stuff that we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, and so like, while she was partway through her, like, thing, Ray just had, like, this huge tantrum. This is good.
Chad says, I think that's a fursona. I think they were just telling each other what their fursonas were. No! It's not what it is.
Yep. Well, yeah, so I was a doll.
Yeah, so napping Iman turned into a doll version of Iman during this ritual. And then Iman materialized, or a spirit materialized, a spirit wolf materialized, played by Siobhan.
Yeah,
like,
she
costumed
was
up in
changing
wolf
while
form.
I was tampering.
And we were like, what the fuck is happening? Like, is this Iman? We don't know. And she wasn't talking to us, so we just let her do wolf running aroundy things and then come back. That was pretty much it.
Yep. I took like, and then when I woke up, I just looked at everyone and said, I had the strangest dream.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it wasn't a dream. you were a spirit wolf just running around. Yeah, it's whatever dream you had. I'm pretty sure it was just a wolf.
It was like, yeah, it was a nice dream though. It was relaxed. I was looking for something to chase, but there was this chicken that people wouldn't let me chase properly.
It's just rude.
Yeah.
Just because the chicken was like a polymorph person that they cared about, they wouldn't let you eat it.
I know.
I tried to encourage you to chase dark elves.
You're really good at that.
Like, look, there's one over there. Go and get it. It's like,
I do want to say it was really interesting that, like, the kind of, like, Aaron wolf voice, like, speaking to the wolf voice, was, like, different but also the same.
Yeah.
Because it was, like, slightly more like how you'd speak to an animal versus how you'd speak to, like, something else, and that was really cool.
Chat is talking about the Doppelgod. That's from last event. This is a different event. So we're you know what I mean? Like, different guilds. So it's a different plot. You'll hear about the Doppelgod, I think, in September. Don't worry about that. I'm sure I'll hear more about that. Because of fucking course I will, because great, I got myself tied up in the stupid alternate reality shit. Ugh.
It's
not my favorite plot line.
This Tammy cackling is what is my life. This is what I live around.
Yeah, she's a shaper for that one. So.
Just to deal with me, like, giggling about stuff she has no clue about.
She's like, I know the answers, and I'm like, shut up. It's like your GM being like, dude, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that?
Do it.
Do it. Yeah. Okay, so cool. So Spirit Wolf stuff, Braid stuff. Saturday. What else was Saturday? Jakar came back.
Yes. Oh, Jakar. Yes, because after dinner he came back
for tribute. For the tribute.
Yeah, because we had dinner.
Dinner was steak. It was really good. Holy fuck, it was really good. I was distracted while dinner was going. Oh, because Jakar came while dinner was being served. Like, I had to go off and talk to him privately and hope that my steak was still there when I got back.
Right, because I was napping and Jakar showed up and I sat up in my bed and talked to Jakar and then we had dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a good conversation.
So Jakar came back, the NPC Jen Vespin came back to get tribute from the town, which he told us he was going to do. And I, we told him to come and see us first. And Ray said specifically come and see her first. Mm-hmm. So Jakar got led into the tent and, like, Ray and Jakar was there.
Because I got to have a private conversation with Jakar where I got to ask him some questions. So Jakar, where's Hamara nowadays? How many apprentices does she have? What about her original apprentices? Are they still serving under her? Yes, what about Razlin? Is he still apprenticing under Hamara? And he's watching us right now, isn't he?
Yes, through your eyes, Jakar.
Yes, because much like Skull's demon contract, Ray's brother has a demon contract that I had been working all game to figure out because Jakar had not been acting right. As we said, Jakar had been acting really strange in a way that Ray
he was sort
recognized.
of he was sort of arrogant and like aggressive rather than being the sort of like coward that he was the first time we met him.
So Ray recognized this behavior and was like, I know this person.
Yeah, so the thought was that Ray's brother Razlin was like possessing Jakar
and like taking control of him for moments. And it would sort of like come out in these like moments where Ray would purposely like antagonize him, and then he would get mad, and then it would like come out and we'd see it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I asked him those questions, and he sort of was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know how he would be watching us right now.
Yeah, totally.
No. I was like, all right then. You may now speak with my shaman.
Yeah, and so I took him to Corwenna to get the tribute, right? Because you were in bed still.
Yeah.
So I took him to Corwenna to get the tribute.
Yeah.
And Argus was there while we were doing it, and I'm like, he's here to get tribute for the Gen Vespin. And Argus is like, oh! Like, gives over some stuff. And Corwenna's, like, getting out of her tent, and she hands over a little stack of things, and Jakar goes through it, and he's like, these are good. And then you showed up, and you're like, what was it? Like,
I said, Jakar, wait, before you go, I have one more thing to say to you. And I held up my hand and waved it at him, and I was holding a spell packet, which is, like, the representation of channeling
like,
mana.
you know magic? Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, I am waiting.
And he, like, visibly freaked out to all of us rather than just to Ray.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Because up till then, I hadn't shown anybody that I could cast magic.
Yeah.
And you'd have to really get into the backstory of Vespin, but Ray is a twin. And the Vespin believe that the spirit is one spirit. So when a twin spirit, when one twin dies, the other eats the heart.
You have to consume the other twin.
And gains all the power of the other one. But, like, Ray's not a spellcaster. Her brother is. So being like, I have magic now. This is a challenge. Come get me.
Yeah.
It was basically
it's a big
what
deal.
I did there.
It's a big deal.
Issued a challenge.
And so Iman was there as well, and the face that he made was just shocking to everybody else. Everybody else visibly took a step back, so this is like as part of the discussion.
Yeah, his face like blurred shifted and looked different for a moment.
So you turned and left like almost immediately, and people looked at me and they're like, and Jakar, and like, are you all right? Is he all right? Is everything okay? And I'm like, yes, everything's fine. Give him the tribute. I'll take him out of town. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't want to have this discussion with outsiders. You know what I mean? Like,
this is bad.
This is not my fucking conversation to have with like Corwenna. You know, like, no. This is a Gen Vespin business, okay? This is a me business. This is a Ray business. This is a Mon business. It's not some random nerd who saw some shit business. Get out of here. He's fine. He's a little ill or whatever. His face shift. It's fine. Shut up. Go away. Basically is what I did. So
while you did that, Iman kind of leaned over to Brynja and was like, I'll explain later. Let's just pretend everything's okay.
Yeah.
We need to pretend everything's okay so we go away.
So I took Jakar, and we were walking towards the out of town together, and I go, I know you're masquerading. Like, idiot. You know? And he goes, then I think we better talk. I went, okay. Diverted us down the road to like get around a corner so that nobody could see us. And while we're walking, he's like, it'll be good to have a talk to someone reasonable. Apprentice to apprentice, It's been so long since we worked together. I've missed you. Like all of that kind of stuff.
Witches being genial. Witches being genial.
And like we're walking along and everything is like, I don't see any need for conflict here. No, neither do I. I don't think there's going to be any violence. But I would like to speak to you. And they're like, besides, you couldn't deal with me anyway. I'm like, I don't think you know exactly what I'm capable of. There's a lot of like veiled, like, there's no need for violence. Definitely violence, like down here. Like, there's a lot of that going on. So we pushed ourselves into a little corner in the old woods and started having this chat, right? I'm like, and how's my mother these days, And he's like, well, you should come see her, like, bring yourself back into the fold. And then you could be learning so much, I'm like, I'm as in the fold as I can be. She's invited me back. And I have to stay with my people. I can't just leave and go back to the tribe. That's not how it works, right? I have responsibilities here. He's like, well, your responsibilities are not my problem. Or hers. Like kind of stuff.
Like, this might not be an invitation.
Yeah, it was a little bit like, and you're going to come with me, sort of stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But we started, like, talking about stuff, and he said, like, she really has it out for me, doesn't she? I'm like, she's going to kill you. I hope you know this. At some point in the near future, you will die. But there's no point in us killing your vessel. I say, like, gesturing to Jakar, who he's speaking through. I'm like, stabbing you here would cause us more problems than it would solve. First of all, you wouldn't be dead. And second of all, we'd have to deal with the warriors tomorrow when the tribute doesn't come back. I'm not an idiot, and neither is she. Like, very, very much, like, just, like, trying to, like, what was your plan here, sort of thing? Like, what did you want us to do? Do you want us to kill you? Like, kill Jakar, the person you're possessing? It's not going to help us, right? He's like, that's very keen of you to observe, like, that kind of stuff. And I went, here's a question. How are you dealing with the demon? I assume you're having as much trouble as I am. It's like, oh yes. Many of the apprentices have gone mad. Completely mad. We've had to kill them. Some of them are just not strong-willed enough to survive. They learn things, and then the demon whispers in their ear. And they just go insane. So, there's a few less of them than there was. But that's no problem. We'll replenish them. Not an issue. Hamara's working to solve it, and so am I. He says, like, very importantly. Well, good luck with that. And he's like, oh, I hope we have good luck with it. I mean, we're working on it for the apprentices, for Hamara, for you. And I'm like, yeah, if you solve it for me, that's great. I'm happy about that. I'm not going to stop you. I'm like, how did Hamara defeat the sort of cloud of confusion that comes with this place? I'm very interested. I'm very curious. My mother is very talented lady. But how would she get through this sort of like haze, Because we were told that she's powerful enough that she's like broken the level cap of the place, you know what I mean? Like, she's an NPC that's come in from outside, and so you'd think it would influence her, but she has somehow figured out how to circumvent it, right? And so he says, well, I'll tell you, but maybe you shouldn't tell your little, weaver friend there about any of this. I think it's best we keep it just between us for now. Like, shoot. He goes, well, it's very simple. She's been ripping the souls out of people. Not just any souls, favored souls. Ripping the light and the dark right from their bodies. And consuming it. To increase her own power. Her esprit du corps. You know, like power herself up via the essence of others. That's very Hamara. Definitely. I'm like, yep, no, that makes sense. Totally. Like, and I'm like, oh, so she just rips it clean, does she? He's like, oh no, it's not clean. Like, that's not what I meant. You know what I meant. What I meant is thoroughly and entirely. Most of them don't survive. I mean, except for Dagran. And I'm like, oh, bombshell! like huge information where it's like the paladin of Sybil that we know, the player that we know, Jacob's PC has been stripped of his divinity. Like, that's a huge piece of information for us. And I'm like, hey, Dagran lost his cool thing. He's gonna be mad at me. But I mean, Jacob wrote this plotline, so you know he can do whatever he wants to his own characters. So that was like a crazy bombshell for us. And I told no one any of this in game. If this knowledge makes it anywhere in game, they stole it from this video. Just so you know, anybody who ever talks about this in game or out, the only people I ever told about it in game were no one. No one at all. Just me. I'm the only one who knew about this. Avoid your metagame, my friends.
I know everything.
Be good. I know you know everything. Shut up. God. Shapers. Jeez. So that was really cool. And I'm glad I got to have that conversation. And then I was like, well, why don't I walk you out of town? And we just, you know, like, jovially left, and I came back to camp to get some steak. You know, like, Jakar's gone. Okay. You know, eat my steak. What else was there for Saturday?
Build a bunch more camps after.
I didn't go the second time. I stayed behind in the camp because I didn't have any spells left. I don't know if you went or not. You did? Yeah.
Also, the smoke was bad.
Yeah, it was like pretty choking. There was something that marked our like, and that's the last thing we're gonna do, and then we went to bed, but I don't remember what it was. Because we went to bed. No, we went to bed really early, like 10 p.m. early.
I stayed up way
Which is
longer than you guys.
I mean, we'll get your stories from the night.
Fine.
It's good. But I'm trying to think about what it was. Because I'm sure there was something attacked or.
No, there was deafness, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, the demon stuff. So at one point during Saturday, Jacob just came up to me and went, so you feel as if beetles are crawling underneath your skin. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you can see them, the like lumps under your skin, like moving around and stuff. This was like earlier on Saturday, and I'm like, oh, shit. You know, like, I don't know what's happening. And immediately my response is get the knife out and like try and cut them out, you know, like, so I like fall over, like trying to cut these beetles free from my flesh, you know, and he goes like, they start pouring out of your wounds, and these wounds appear and they start like crawling all over you, and it's like painful, and I'm, you know, he's saying all this to me, and I'm like writhing, going like, get them off, you know, like yelling, making a scene, everybody's like looking over, and then he's like, and they're gone. They're all gone. Everything's fine. You're fine. No wounds, no beetles. They're all gone. It's gone. It's done. I'm like, what? You know?
Yeah, and that's another level on the chick. This is getting more serious. Something is wrong. Something is horribly wrong.
And the same thing happened to Skull.
Yeah.
Who also has like a demon-related thing going on. So the two of us knew that if something happened to both of us, it was demon-related because that was our connection. You know what I mean? So like the same thing happened to Skull, and the same thing happened to me. So it was a demon thing, you know. And we're like, oh, he's just trying to exert his will, but he's crazy, you know. So he's not giving us a message. He's just doing things, you know. And then Saturday night, after I came back and I was sitting down for my food, and I just finished my food, I got up to like walk over to a campfire. Jacob, in a white headband, walks over to me and goes, "You're gonna be deaf for like 5 minutes. I went a lot longer than 5 minutes because I couldn't measure the time. But he's like, you're gonna be deaf for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. I walk away, I walk up to camp and sit down, and Victor starts talking to me, and I look over and he's talking, but I can't hear anything. I'm like, Victor, I can't hear you. You know, like my voice louder than usual. Like, I can't hear you. You know, and he's like, what? I can't hear anyone. You know, I can't hear anything. Sort of thing. And he gets out his notebook and starts like writing things and communicating me with the notebook. But Skull also goes deaf. But the problem with Skull going deaf is that he's also blind right now. I blinded him earlier in the game. So that shepherding him around while he was deaf was very difficult. Iman developed a nice system for trying to communicate with him.
Yeah, well, he was freaking out because he's just like, at first he thought everyone was just ignoring him because there's no way of finding, and then he's like lost in his own little world, and he's like getting really frustrated. So he's just like, I need to go outside. And Mom's like tending to Aaron, so like, all right. Goes to him and just like, wait a second, you can read. All right. Grabs his palm and like starts to say, the first thing she did was H, E, L, and his face drops like hell. Oh, hello.
Yeah. So Iman was communicating with Skull by drawing letters in his palm. It was pretty cool. It was a good method.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. And we managed to get him calm enough to like sit and like wait, you know, until it was over, because I was confident that, like the Beatles, it would be temporary. You know, like Aaron was confident that it's a demon-related thing. If Skull and I are both affected, it's demon-related. So we wait and it'll wear off.
And the demon doesn't want like two blind,
deaf servants. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So it's like, I mean, he's the god. I mean, the demon of madness or whatever.
He just wants to wear you down and erode you until he can like.
Yeah. So we waited it out, and eventually it wore off. I swear there was something else Saturday night that I'm totally forgetting. Oh, Ilias. That was it. Yes. Oh no, the staff. We have to do the staff first. The eater.
Eater. Oh, Eater then Ilias. Yeah.
Yeah. So, this creature called the Eater came to town. It's like this big, shambling mound with, like, acidic fangs and, like, nastiness. Like, this horrible, nasty creature that everybody in town was like, don't fight it, don't fight it, don't fight it, don't fight it, give it what it wants, kind of thing. The people who had been there a long time.
Almost everybody.
I mean, I wanted to kill it. But nobody else had the...
I wanted to kill it,
Nobody else had
too.
the freaking, like, wherewithal to...
I mean, I attacked it.
I mean, I know, but, like, so did I, right? I cast, like, 5 spells at it, right? But so this big thing comes to town and is, like, looking for the staff of the speaker or whatever, and Lucian has it. Of course.
He's had it for 2 years.
Fucking Lucian.
What do you want?
Fucking Lucian. Of course it's Lucian. Because he's exactly the kind of person who's not going to be like, here, solve the problem. There's the staff. He's like, why? You know, like, being obstinate.
The questions were valid.
I mean, I'm sure
like,
they were.
Totally valid.
I'm not saying that they're not, but what I am saying is the problem could have been solved in a second, and it took us, like, 20 minutes.
And a lot of panic.
Yeah.
A lot of panic. So much panic.
So this thing was like, I want the staff, you know, and Lucian was like, well,
so we hit it.
Well, will you stop attacking? You know, if we give you the staff, and he's like, no. Like, okay, well, you're not going to get the staff. And he's like, everyone dies, you know, and then he starts attacking people and doing really nasty damage and, like, death spells and, like, bad stuff. And we're trying to, like, figure out what the staff is. And, of course, Ray has grabbed it and run off somewhere, and nobody knows where she's gone, but she's got the staff, and she's somewhere else, and there's this dangerous thing in town that nobody can stop, right? I mean, I say nobody can stop, but we never coordinated to kill it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
everybody was like area death spore attacks.
Yeah, like
and, like, all sorts of stuff,
it was meant to be like, don't fight it. Yeah. So I cast a bunch of spells into it to try and get it away from me because I didn't want to deal with it. So I went like, summon a hex to inflict horror, I summon a hex to inflict horror, I summon a hex to inflict horror, and just like got it feared from me. So that if it was ever doing anything like sporing or whatever near me, I could force it away. so it would have to stop the count and like move away. Was the idea. And then I sat in the tent and I waited, and people were coming up and they're like, "Where's Ray?" And I'm like, "You think I know? I don't know."
Yeah, they were like, "We need to find Ray in the next 10 minutes, or else it's gonna kill everybody." I'm like, "Well, you better rally people to fight, because you're not gonna find her in 10 minutes."
Either start looking or start stabbing. You know, like that's the options.
Yeah.
But eventually Ray reemerged.
Yeah. So I went pretty far away, but from where I was, I could still see everybody. So I was watching the entire thing. And actually, at a game, I saw the Shaper, Jacob, who was playing the Eater, sit down, and then a bunch of people surrounded him. So to me, I actually thought that they had killed him and were looting him. So I came back, and then found out, no, he wasn't dead. He was just crouching. And people were standing around him, like, pleading with him. So I came back with the staff, walked right up to him, and went, "Oh."
I think it was at that point where I was like, give it back to Lucian, let him do negotiation, let it be over. You know, like, because I didn't want to deal with this anymore, right? So then that's kind of what happened. Like, Lucian got it back and eventually gave it over. There was like this moment of like 8 minutes of panic, you know what I mean, in the whole town, because this thing that could kill everyone was mad, basically, because Ray ran off with the thing it wanted.
But okay, to be fair, we asked it, "Will you stop attacking?"
And it said no.
And it said no. We said, well,
then why would we give it to you?
We're not giving this up then if you're not going to leave us alone, so.
And towards the end of that, like, Kale Confusion, there was a bear clan and a certain Amrath who...
so Umaga, Mike's Furbolg, and Ilias, the bear tribe wild elf, or one of the bear tribe wild elves, got into a little argument because Umaga asked Ilias where the staff was, or like where the stick is, you know? And Ilias acted like he knew. You know, he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna say anything," you know? And then Umaga was like, you know, poison tongue or some insult. And then Ilias was like, moron or idiot or something. And then, of course, Umaga's response to being insulted is just to kill you, right? So this big, like, 6'3" caveman dude just rails into this little tiny elf boy, and like, he doesn't fall over, but it looks really close, and I get in between them, and I'm like, what's going on, you know? And Ilias is like, he attacked me. I'm like, well, what did you do? They don't just attack for no reason. Umaga, what happened? And Umaga's like, well, he called me stupid, you know? And I asked where Stick is. He act like he know, but he not tell Umaga, you know? Like, that kind of stuff. And I'm in between these two, and Ilias is like looking mad, you know what I mean?
Like the maddest I've ever seen this character.
He's been attacked, and he's like full of adrenaline.
Yeah.
You know? But he didn't fall over. So I'm in between the two of them, and I'm like, misunderstanding, let it be over, you know? And Umaga's like, oh, you know, he's like mad caveman, wants to finish the job sort of thing, but he knows that when I say something, I mean it, you know? And so Umaga's like, oh, just like walks away back to his camp, or back to the other Furbolg, and like tells the other Furbolg what's going on, basically. And I'm like, Ilias, don't make this a thing, you know? And I walk away to talk to the Furbolg, because I know that he's coming back with more Furbolg if I don't, right? So I go to the Furbolg, I'm like, this is over. Unless they attack you, do nothing, you know? And Umaga's like, but I want to rip smug face off little bear, you know? And I'm like, if you do, that'll make us look bad. And when you make us look bad, I can't defend you properly. So what we do is we wait for them to make a mistake. Yeah? If they attack you, kill them all. Okay? And you're like, yeah. Okay. And you're like, good. Talking to Furbolg is always a mess, right? And so I'm walking back over to the camp, and I see the three bear tribe walking over towards the Furbolg, like coming with intent. Like there's like a walk. You can tell when someone's gonna like go and do something aggressive. You know what I mean? Like you can totally tell.
Strut on.
Yeah, there's like a movement. And so he's walking over, and I come marching back over, and he comes right up to me, and I'm like, Ilias, let it be over, you know, like right up in his face, right? And we are like inches from each other, basically. And he's like, what? So I'm just gonna end up the victim? I'm like, oh, you got hurt? Poor you, tiny baby. You know, like, you took some scratches. He could have done a lot worse. You know, basically, like, in his face. And he's like, well, I still got, you know, like, he attacked me. You know, I'm like, and why did he do that? Because you called him names. He's a furbolg. What were you expecting? You know? And I'm shorter than Elias, so I'm like talking up at him here, like, aggressively. And then Ray comes over, and while I'm having this argument, she steps in between the two of us and, like, forces him back a little bit because she thinks it might turn violent, I think is what the idea was here.
He was gripping at his weapons, yeah.
If he'd have tried anything, I would have fucked him up really bad.
But that's not the point. You need the, like...
I agree.
The glowering bodyguard.
I agree.
Yeah, and Amon was circling around to their other side. Like, they came in a clump. That was...
Well, and if fighting had started, you know what would come running? The 4 furbolgs sitting 3 feet away.
And then
I was trying to de-escalate.
Same.
Like, okay, most of the time I say violence is the answer.
But on this point, yeah.
Well, it was also really interesting to watch Corena watch this exchange and do nothing.
Yeah. So anyway, Ray gets in the way and separates a little bit, and I cool off a little bit because of that separation. I think, like, I was ready to just, like, if you try anything, I will end your life. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be aggressive to me, you little upstart shit, basically, is, like, how I was feeling. And the whole demon thing was making it worse, right? Because everything that irritates me 10 times as much, right? I was trying to play into the role play of it. And so they're still looking all like, like the furbolg at the front. I mean, not the furbolg, the Elias at the front, and then the other 2 bear tribe, like, behind him, looking all aggressive and shit, right? And I go, here's the deal. It's over. The furbolg know it's over. They're not going to do anything. If you or you or you touch any of them, and I mean touch them, you all die until I'm finished with you. Until I decide you've had enough. Good? And I think that took the wind out of his sails, but I think he was, like, impotently angry. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where he's like, oh, I'm not just gonna fight the furbolg, I'm gonna fight their whole camp. You know what I mean? And so he was like angry, but he couldn't do anything about it because as soon as he did anything, it would have been, like, really over for him and his friends, basically. So he turned around and, like, left, basically. And we all separated, and that was enough drama for me.
So after that, I went on a walk with Lucian, and we ran into him on the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He just stormed past us and said nothing. And Mom called after him. It's like, if you want to talk, I'm here. It was pretty good.
So I walked past the other 2, and they did nothing. I was alone, and they did nothing. So I felt good about my position.
The other 2 came and got me later.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, because he wanted to talk to me after. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Should I tell it now?
Yeah, do it.
So, like, later that night, I'm sitting at the fire, like, trying to dry off my pants because I'm still wet from the
river, yeah.
And these other 2 bear tribe cubs, the younger 2 bear tribe members come, and they're like, Ilias wants to talk to you, and they direct me into this, like, dark corner of the woods where their tents are all clumped up, and I look, and I don't see him, and I kind of, like, circle around a little bit, and I find him kind of, like, slumped down at the base of this tree, looking, like, just dejected.
He still had the, like, sullen face on Sunday morning.
He still had this, like, just... You could just see the storm clouds above his head. It was like... And he was just like, we had this talk, and he was like, I don't get it. I thought we were friends. Like, what am I supposed to do? I, like, sat down with him, and I was like, hey, if I didn't care about you, you'd already be dead.
Yeah.
You think I intervened because I don't care about you? Oh, no. If I didn't care about you, I'd have let them kill you. I'd have killed you myself. So we had, like this cool chat, and he was like, I don't know, Ray. I don't know who you are. Like, I thought I knew who you are. But I don't know who you are.
Has he had that much interaction with you? Was there, like, a history to this, or is it just out of nowhere?
I mean, there's, like, a little bit of history. There's, like, a little bit of, like, I guess, flirting going on between Ilias and Ray at, like, previous games. So we had this whole conversation that sort of ended with, like, you know, I followed you out here. There was a time I thought we could be together. But I don't know who you are anymore. So it's like,
I did not know about any of this.
So we had this like awkward conversation between our characters. It was really cool because I got friendship beats.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I'm glad it was a nice moment.
it was super awkward.
Yeah,
it's great.
So I think Saturday night ended kind of there. We like went to bed. There's maybe some crunchies, but I don't remember exactly what it was, so it's not important. We went to bed, and actually the next morning when we got up, and like I what do you call it? Got out of bed and like walked around. Ilias was standing next to one of that probably that same tree, like arms crossed, fucking face down, storm clouds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I went over to him because he looked at me and like had the face on, you know?
Yeah.
And I went over to him and I went, "Am I gonna have a problem with you, Ilias? I really don't want to have a problem with you, but if you're gonna make it an issue for me, I'll make it an issue for you as well, you know?" And he's like, "Is it over? You said it's over. So is it over?" I'm like, "It's not over until you snap out of this fucking sullen child act. You lost. Get over it." Basically, like, if you're not gonna do anything, fucking buck up, right? And Erin's just mad because she's mad at, like, the world, right? So it's like, oh, you're fucking looking like a glum asshole at me? All right. Do something. No? Snap out of it. You child. That was basically what I said to him in the morning. But I think there was other stuff Sunday morning that I'm totally skipping. What did we do Sunday morning?
There were some plants.
There were some plants to kill, yeah.
Yeah, that enraged him on.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
yeah. So the plants did an enraged globe on Iman, and she immediately turns and starts striking me.
First person you see.
And I'm like, what do I do? She's enraged. I don't want to hurt her. So I'm like, I summon a hex to inflict horror, and I like fear her away from me. Right? This is the first witchcraft spell I have ever cast on Iman, ever. Like the first witchcraft to touch her spirit from me. So maybe a misstep in my account, but like I didn't want either of us to die, right? So that was kind of my thought there. I didn't want you to beat me into the ground, and I didn't want to have to, like, beat you into the ground, right? Like, that was kind of our options. So I horrored you away from me, thinking it wouldn't be too big of a deal at the time. And I went to the camp to let it wear off and stuff after. But then you were, like, lurking by the bushes, peering around at me. I don't know what's going on. What are you doing?
Well, what happened there was, like, Iman, so she then, like, ran off because she was still enraged. She couldn't go towards Aaron because Aaron was terrifying. So she just went to hit other people.
Yeah.
And then Skull very quickly disabled her.
Yeah.
They took away her stick. And then she kind of, like, ran around to break the disable and started frantically looking for a weapon because I didn't have any, like...
You couldn't punch anyone.
I couldn't punch anyone. So I was just, like, panicking and looking for a weapon, and then it wore off. I was like, all right, I feel calmer now. Where's Aaron? So then I look to go towards Aaron. I go towards...
The horror's still active.
Go towards Aaron. She's looking at me and says, like, active horror. And then...
Because the enrage only lasts a minute, but the horror lasts 10.
Yeah. And then in my Iman brain, it's like, okay, my character's head, everything shifts. It's like, here is her mate, the person she trusts most in the world, the person she's coming to after this scary experience that she's lost control of herself completely and utterly. And you're the most terrifying thing that I can imagine. So Iman books it into the woods and is like trying to process all of this. And then like her mentality is coming back. It's like, wait, Erin used witchcraft on me. She knows I don't want this to touch me at all.
It's all I had, okay?
It's not even like a beneficial thing. Not even like, oh, this is like, it's not even like a nice witchcraft thing. It's like an awful mind-affecting thing. So it's also something that Iman's like personally despises. She hates anything that screws with your mind if you don't want it to. She does not like it. It's been her character trait for a very long time. So now she's like, wait, I would rather die than accept this kind of stuff. So what does this mean that Erin did this? Like, actually. So Iman's wrestling with that, and she's like, eventually kind of approaches the side and is like, all right, well, Erin's there. She doesn't look strange. Am I sure, though? What if I get close enough to her? Is it going to happen again? Like, is this just the way this is now? I mean, I don't think it is, but it could be. Or is it just all in my head? Am I just going to remember it like this? And then, so she's wrestling with all that, and another character kind of like, looks at her and is like, you're acting weird. Are you okay? I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you want to talk? I don't know. Well, okay. They go away.
It was Argus, right?
Yeah, that was Argus.
Of course it was Argus.
Argus.
Yeah. So then Erin eventually notices that Iman's lurking.
Yeah,
in the
lurking
corner.
in the corner. I'm like, all right, I'll go deal with this. Get up from my chair and like walk over to where she is. She's probably like worried about the. I'm like, she's probably worried about the fear. You know, like I'll go and explain what happened, sort of thing. And so I go over there and she's all like, "Don't touch me," and I'm like, okay. Explain. Like, she's like, you cast witchcraft on me, I don't like it.
Is that your Iman voice? Yeah, is that your Iman voice?
I don't want you to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm all reasonable, like.
Reasonable.
And I'm all reasonable, like I didn't want either of us to get hurt by the other, so this seemed like the opportune thing to do.
Yeah. Just like completely change the perspective of like the person that I'm like that I literally like incapacitate myself around on a regular basis and be like, oh, by the way, have fun dealing with trauma. Trauma every time you look at me.
Enjoy. What's
like,
what's life without a little suffering? Honestly,
I mean, you could have hurt her otherwise, so.
Oh, she could have.
This trauma's better.
Aaron had a no. Aaron had a knife. Iman had a stick. Aaron would win the fight. Iman would be bleeding out. It would have been fine.
I don't want to stab you.
Oh, but you're okay with stabbing like her mind.
I don't think of it that way.
and that's the thing that came out of it. It's like Aaron doesn't think about it that way, and that's how it kind of like. That's the thing that like got it through.
Yeah, like that's not why I did it. I didn't do it specifically to like hurt you.
No, but it's like, okay, that's like the knife would be worse in Aaron's head, and that makes sense for Aaron's background.
Yeah.
But don't go like, yeah, like that's the only thing that makes sense.
This is the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing. It's the only thing. It's the only...
I mean, like, the thing that made sense to Aaron was, like, the worst thing for Iman, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm like, she'll be scared for a bit, but then she'll be fine. I'm the same person.
I just watched them argue. Said nothing. It's great.
Yeah, a couple of people walked by while we were talking, and we're like, no. Like,
and the way this conversation happened was Iman stepped back from Aaron, and I was in the dense undergrowth, so I was like lean against the tree having this conversation while cornered, kind of.
Yeah.
And I just stood down the path and like stared blankly. It was great.
So then Sunday after that, I mean, we resolved it, right? Like, to a reasonable degree.
Yeah. No.
And then...
although Iman is going to be flinchy for a little bit. Like, it's going to take some time.
You with your, like, I don't want witchcraft on myself. But then I'm like, okay, light magic, great. Give me this, I guess. The light magic.
I don't want your filthy, gross... Blah! I accept.
Yeah, it's okay to cast light magic on me, but I guess witchcraft's too good for you.
Oh,
God.
Don't. Hey, Sybil likes me. Your demon does not even like you.
Fair. Yeah.
This is a solid argument. I mean, it's not even her demon right now,
not even my demon. To be fair, I mean, you know, pain is love, and emotional pain is also pain. So
praise Pandora.
We'll just have to scar. We'll just have to add a physical scar, and then it'll be a bonding experience. That's my next plan. That's what I'm gonna say.
I mean, more scars help us bond.
I agree. Yes.
As long as the scars are on other people.
Physical injury to Amon during intimate moments is.
That's how Aaron's intimate.
It's how I bond.
It's the same as how Ray gives you privacy by standing this far away from you.
Yeah, we need to talk privately, Ray. Okay. Ray's like, okay, steps back like 2 feet.
Now they have privacy.
The best guard. It's the best guard.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the moment where you meet Helene, who has like sworn himself as my like shield now. You know, like his first act when I was like, I can save you from this demon that's gonna chase you, was like, then I am yours. Basically.
Oh, that's gonna be so good.
So he's like my guard now. Yeah. So that'll be fun. I look forward to the Ray and Helene eventual interaction.
Oh, we get so many more Vespin coming in.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be so good.
We should all go out to a Warcry 1 event and just like
it'll be like here's the camp of people from here, and here's the camp of people from here, and here's the. Are those all Vespin?
Yeah. We'll just like get people to make them to come.
Just like 30 Vespin.
That would be awesome.
We are Warcry now.
Yeah. Take that, Brefont. I mean, not that I care about Brefont or the White Raven Alliance. But...
I don't think Vespin care about a whole lot.
No. Convince me that I should care. But anyway, Sunday continuing, we went to go clear out the rest of the camps and like do the final mod stuff, you know, like that you do on Sunday where you know there's gonna be big fighting shit. So we did like some more camps like we did on Saturday, which was fun, like going up the path and like doing the fighting stuff, and it's always good. I had the Banner of Sybil with me for most of it, so I was trying to like throw spells but also not get hit by anything because I didn't want to break the banner. And Amon was doing cool war drums, which was awesome. We were sort of standing back and doing support stuff.
Yeah. I had a magic staff, so I get to fight all the golems.
I had 20 extra hide armor because of the war drums. Because Lucian, Victor, me, Amon is 4.
No, it's Umaga.
Oh, Umaga. Yeah, Lucian, Victor, me, Umaga is 4. So all of us had 20 extra body like during that whole thing. So I took a necrotic blast and not necrotic blast because I had a bolster for that, but like the regular damage was a lot less of a problem if I could keep the banner away.
It's pretty good.
But so like the shaman stuff is really good when there are a lot of the shaman's like braid members around, but when there are less, it's less good sort of thing. It's like how it all works.
But what it also is really good is like, so I used to play drums in high school, so I can like kind of keep a beat. And then it's amazing how like a battlefield responds to rhythm.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was really, really interesting to like kind of like play along with that and like be like, yeah, marching to the beat of your own drum means like I have a deeper understanding of that. It was really cool.
It was kind of cool like having the drums beat too while we were all walking. It felt very ominous.
Yeah. So we did some camp clearing. We killed Brefontians. We killed mages. We killed, you know, golem, I think, or 2 in the path. I'm not sure exactly. But then we were all sitting down and like waiting to go back, you know, like waiting for the next order. And I don't know the context of this. Well, I do know the context of it, but I didn't at the time. Kel'Kathil yells to everyone. Kel'Kathil yells to everyone, "All right, slaves, move out!" And I turn to him, and he looks at me, and I go, "What did you just call me, Kel?" And he's looking at me, he's like, not you, Shaman, not your people, Shaman, just these people over here. I would never call you that. I was directing it over here. It was a joke. He said something that made me say, it was a joke. I said it very loud. I didn't mean to say it so loud. Not your people. And I get up and I walk over to him, like menacingly as I can. And he's like, no, I didn't mean anything by it. And I'm like, take my knife out. Spellstrike Soul Whip. And, like, it's 3 body drain. So he takes 3 body and I gain 3 body, basically. It's like a vampiric blade.
And you also, like, crack it over him like it's a whip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, you know? And he's like, ah! And I go, not a funny joke. Ever call me a slave again, we'll have a problem. He's like, duly noted, respectfully withdrawn, you know, like all that kind of
like
stuff.
Backs away
He very much knows how to like appeal to Aaron's like sense of importance. And so, you know, after that we did all get up and like move on, however. And he got a vision from Dalrion that the Dalrion Weaver that we were fighting was gonna like come to our camp. So that was gonna be like the final mod, you know, like the last thing, the Weaver in the army sort of thing. But I got a demonic vision. I got a demonic thing as well, where the demon was like, "All of your spells are reset. Welcome back to a full pyramid again." You know, like all of your spells are back, but you have an intense hatred for anyone who would stand in the way of demonic supremacy.
It's a good trade.
And he adds, this is not a mandatory compulsion for now. And I was like, please don't let the last mod be demons. Please don't let the last mod be demons. Please don't let the last mod be demons. If it's demons, I'll be fighting on the wrong side. Please don't let this last mod be demons. You know, like as I'm like walking back towards the, and I was so worried that I told a bunch of people like in our circle, but then I grabbed Kel. I'm like, Kel, I need to talk to you. And he like walks over with me, and I grab him by like the front of his armor, like holding him, and I go, if I'm fighting against you, it's not because I want to, it's because I have to. Disable me, and then we'll figure it out after, but don't kill me, you idiot. You know? And he's like, yep, I take it you can still be put down by a sleep? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, okay, good. And I'll let him go and like push him back a little bit. he's like, I love that he asks, can you be put down by a sleep? Like I am some horrible monster that is you cannot disable. Like I'm not human, you know? Like I love that kind of question because it just implies that people think I'm way more powerful than I am.
I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
It is not beyond the realm of possibility. I definitely think that's something that would be very useful, certainly. But yeah, no, I can still be put to sleep. So I like asked him if it's demons, you know, like make sure that I'm out, basically. But it wasn't demons. It was Brafontians. And we fucked them up so hard. The master tactician marched his army through the chokiest choke point in the whole fucking camp. And we just, like, murdered them, basically. I turned the Weaver of Dalrion into a toad. And then crushed him. And then he, like, contingency lifed or something. And fought some more and then disappeared. And then his army just got, like, crushed, basically. And then a couple of golems came out. Those were a little harder to kill. But we didn't lose anybody. Like, it was a tough fight, but it wasn't, like, impossible. And the way that they positioned made it easy for me with a full spell pyramid reset to just be like, Toad, horror, repulsion sword, repulsion shield, you know, and just, like, CC as much as possible.
It was a really tough fight, though, because, like, a Weaver of Salam came through the camp first and gave out blessings that also gave a bunch of spellcasters.
Oh, see, I missed that.
And all the spellcasters got all their spells back, so everyone was very confused as to why Ray wanted blessings. So they had no idea what I was doing.
No.
Amon enjoyed going out to the Weaver of Salam and laughing in his face.
I mean, I like free stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're not devoted.
No,
and it makes sense. Like, you know, you use what you can. But
I love that I got
a
before that demonic reset. Like, she's not gonna take a mark of Salam or something, but I would have. I would have. I think.
I mean, yours came with the cool detriment.
I do like the cool detriment.
I would have rather had the cool detriment than just free stuff.
I do enjoy the cool detriment of, like, I had to not look at Brynja the whole time. If I looked at Brynja, I was pretty sure I was going to kill her. So I like tried really hard not to, because she was the only person who had like vehemently opposed me up until this point, which of course I take as vehemently opposing the demonic, right? Because if you oppose me, you oppose the demon, because I am a representative of the demon and I'm fucking nuts right now, you know, kind of stuff. So I was trying real hard not to look at Brina. Just like, don't kill her. And there was a lot of Erin muttering to herself, like, I am Erin. I possess an iron will. This will not control me. You know, like, kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I will not allow compulsions to tell me what to do.
It was really cool to see Skull echo back Erin, the things that she was telling him earlier, as kind of like a, like, hey, as you're wrestling with this, like, thing in your mind, here are some, like, kind of mantras or words or expressions, and then, like, as Erin is in this part, he says that too. It was really cool.
Skull was such a cool character because he did the same thing with Ray, because I gave him the like walk with your feet like speech.
Yeah.
And then after he had his eyes gouged out, I came across him in the woods, and he was wandering around all blind, like trying to figure out like how he was gonna get by like for the rest of the weekend, like without his eyes. And he's like, walk with your feet, walk with your feet, walk with your feet. It was he's a really good character.
Skull definitely has a lot of like the older gen Vespin and of course Iman as well, like with this like influence that's like affecting his character, which I really like. He's sort of letting things happen to him, which is cool. I really like that from newer players. But that was pretty much the game. After that, the game was over. I know that you two had a talk, but I don't know what it was about. So unless you want to talk about it, if you don't, that's fine. But
I mean, it was a lot of like...
It was a lot of like back and forth and beating around the bush.
Yeah. Because they both like talk very differently.
They've both had a very sort of like hostile relationship for a lot of the time that they've known each other, and now it's like family that hates each other. You know what I mean? Like they accept that they are both around a lot, but that they don't really like each other. So them talking privately is a very interesting thing to me, but I didn't want to intervene or nose in, you know.
Yeah, so Amon's like, can I talk to you? And Ray's like, looking around like, are you going to kill me? All right, let's go over there where no one can see us.
Yeah. It was, I guess, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, Amon doesn't really understand Ray, and it's like slowly starting to like piece more and more things together, and it's interesting because it's like before she's been like treating Ray like a box. Like there's this box that's called Ray, and Ray's like she's part of Ray's swarm, and she does everything around the box. She doesn't touch the box.
She just dances around the box. But the thing she didn't realize is the moment that she accepted the trophy from the shaman, she stopped dancing around the box, and she just jumping up and down on the box. But she didn't realize she was standing on the box.
She didn't realize any of the things that she was doing was actually, like, impacting the box or touching the box at all. So then I realized, then it came around, like, okay, so, like, as I'm acting around and the things that I'm doing with the braid, Ray's having reactions about it.
Ray has feelings. She just doesn't show them to people. She's a secret. So basically the conversation went, and again, for the third time that weekend, someone had come up to me and said, I don't understand you. I don't know who you are. This was the third time this weekend that someone had come up to Ray and been like, I don't understand you. Who are you?
Explain yourself.
Explain. So the response from Ray was like, what's there to understand? I'm so simple. Here's my values. My swarm is important to me. My family is my swarm. You're part of my family by proxy. I hate your fucking guts. But you're part of my family, so I'll never betray you. I'll never lie to you. What else do you want?
Yeah, what else is there?
Yeah. Well, my mom was like, yes, I understand all these things. Yes. All right. But the whole me doing, because I wasn't trying to hide, but the fact that I didn't, like, preempt it with a conversation, that I
she
didn't
didn't say it. she assumed I knew.
Oh, no, it's not that I assumed that you know. I assumed that, like, okay, as long as I just show you what I'm doing, you won't care. Like, you just want to know, and I don't really feel comfortable talking to you.
Because you can't touch the box, so you
Yeah.
can't talk to the box. Because the box just stabs people who talk to it. I don't know why Ray is all of a sudden a box.
You two. Such a complicated dynamic. To be fair, I'm very familiar with complicated dynamics. I was with Dagon for like a year.
So the end of this conversation was Iman realizing that she could write a note and slide it under the box. And
I can communicate with the person in this box. I'm still a little bit of afraid to touch it, but maybe if I get a stick and slide the note under it, I won't get burnt.
You two, okay.
And that was game.
Yeah.
That
And
game
then
was
the
called.
game was called.
Yeah, and then the game was called, and that was the end of game. So all in all, I would say great game. What about you two? Any like comments, criticisms, or anything? Because people generally watch these and then ask me what I thought of it afterwards. So, I thought it was really good. I thought the pacing was pretty good and
There's
alright.
a lot of combat.
I definitely think that there were some things where I was like, oh, okay, all right, and then like move on from it rather than like make it a thing. But yeah, no, I thought it was good. I definitely liked that this was the first game where I felt like having a demon deal was like a huge detriment to me. But also, I made a good deal, so I would hate if it were a detriment to me all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I made a lot of effort to make Aaron's like lawyering effective, right? Like, the demon deal that I have is a good deal, and it should stay that way. So changing my contract, I was a little worried about that at the beginning of the game. I was like, I really hope this doesn't go like fucking super sideways and I end up having to die because I'm compulsed to kill people or something. You know what I mean? Like, worried about that kind of thing. But I trust shapers and I trust people involved not to fuck me over, right? So it was fun to have like a role-playing disadvantage while I was there. I definitely wouldn't want to do it every game because it was exhausting, but like more exhausting than it usually is with Aaron, and it's usually pretty exhausting. But it was fun for that game. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's good. I learned some stuff about like my backstory stuff. I talked about Aaron's mom. You know, like had some good information come up that's like really relevant to me, and that's great. I love that stuff. Great. I don't really care about Brafont or Bastion or any of that crap because that's like main plot for that stuff, and I'm not really that interested in that. But that's because I'm not a character from there. You know what I mean? I'll happily participate in killing things, but it doesn't really matter to me. But I'm glad to help on things that matter to other people. You know, Kel was very invested in killing Brafontians and stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. Good. I'll help you. I also like killing things. Especially when I'm bored. So there it is. You two? Anything?
I had a fun game. I don't know. I don't know how to give feedback. I think I gave my feedback like directly to Jacob already. So.
All right.
It was fun. I don't get a chance to play very often, so
It's always
I'm
fun to be
like,
a PC, yeah.
just like overly excited by everything because I'm like, I get to play.
I am a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Siobhan?
I guess personal highlight of this game was like kind of like building up the shaman-ish RP in terms of the like getting a braid together and having that kind of like the thought of like how I interact with the people who aren't part of the braid and how people who are and their like transitions and like what all this means and organizing all of these webs and then kind of like seeing that move forward and building relationships with other characters. That was the thing that was a huge highlight to me.
Cool.
As well as a whole bunch of interesting things to do with Vespin and Furbog. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, lots of good conversations. Including conversations about how I fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, conversations with Bryn. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
The interactions with like players are always the highlights.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even when plot like knocks
Knocks
it out of the park
yeah.
and does like amazing things, I'm like, that was awesome. This cool thing that happened with this other person.
This conversation I had was
so
the best.
cool.
Yeah.
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 It's definitely the other players that
Yeah.
like really make the game what it is, I think.
I do want to say another thing that I highlight that I haven't mentioned. That's rather quick.
Yeah.
So, Brody's character, Skull, has picked up the standing behind people threateningly without them noticing.
Yes! Yes!
But, like, the entire crowd noticed and was, like, looking at the person, but the person talking to him that was, like, being confrontational to her had no idea. And just as the conversation,
Who's
like,
being confrontational to you?
that was, the gnome.
Oh, Hector.
Really?
Yeah, because, like, Emon confronted him because gnomes historically like to kill fae, and Emon's a wood fae. So she was like, all right, let's
All right,
figure
gnome.
this out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright, no.
let's talk about this. And he was, like, bumbling a little bit. It's like, oh, you said what now? And then
Yeah.
Skull just leans close, and, like, all I see is just, like, Skull surrounding him because he's sitting down.
Oh yeah.
And, like, everybody in the fire is just watching, and Skull's, like,
this
roaring.
big like 6-foot shadow that
Yeah.
Brody is just like around him.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
good.
this is
I
how,
love-
this is
I
how
love-
you Vespin correctly.
Well, and the great thing is, a lot of the people who are playing Vespin, right, saw us play Vespin in like Logarin back when we were doing like Calidor stuff, and I know for a fact that in Helene, like Ryan's character, he made that character because he saw us standing on porches, glaring at people, and like making a physical presence of our characters, and he was like, I want to be fucking scary.
You see, spending
You know?
80% of your game glowering,
It's influential.
it's
Yeah.
good stuff.
And you make friends and influence people. Yeah,
good
like
stuff.
glowering. Yeah.
It's how you make friends. You glower at them.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, there's a lot of the Jen Vespin stuff where it's like, okay, she's staring at you. You're talking. She hasn't killed you yet. Just because she's not saying anything doesn't mean she's not listening. So don't be impolite and stop. I've seen Argus go on, like, little rambles trying to figure out whether or not...
If I don't respond to Argus, he'll keep talking for like an hour.
Yeah.
Unless I like get bored and walk away or like stop the conversation because like he's like, I don't know if she killed me the one time. I don't want to piss her off.
Yeah. He's worried about you stabbing him the whole game.
It was so much fun.
Anyway, we'll cut the VOD here. Thank you very much for joining us for the LARP stories from Sturminzel this weekend, and I'm sure we'll be back with more very soon. All right, bye everyone.